Facts. 1,200 cases, felony cases for the year in Navajo County. How many trials has a public defender won out of 1,200 cases? Trials. For anybody gone to trial.
You would think 30% at least.
30%? One. One public defender. Emily Bard's a sellout. She's a sellout. Alan LeBou's a sellout. The other Brewer, Kent Brewer, is a sellout. I mean, these guys aren't there to fight the law. They're there to bill the taxpayers, stack up the money, get the check, split it with the judge, and make a plea.
And send everybody to prison
anyway. Send everybody to prison anyway. So 1,200 cases, one trial, the public defender won. One out of 1,200. So now let's go to private practice. How many trials has private attorneys in Navajo County won? Wow, gee, I wonder what that means. Brewer's the only one that's won any trials. Everybody else pleads out. Ron Wood, plea bargain. So, and you can't tell me, come on, let's be realistic. You can't tell me everybody's guilty. It's impossible. So how do you get the public defender's office can only win one trial? One.
Out of 1,200, that's less than 1/10 of 1%.
See, look up the numbers yourself. Numbers don't lie. And you told me that when I started talking to you about numbers, what was the first thing you said to me? They don't lie. Numbers don't lie. And they don't.
And they document all their crimes because they know that they're in control of the documents.
So I look back at this whole scenario with everything that's going on in Navajo County. It's a fraudulent scheme all the way around. Gary Solomon is a city council member in the town of Taylor. He came on board to a job. He's a contractor. He came on board to a job requested by Jason Hatch to do this plumbing job, sewage. And Jason Hatch already had this whole job destroyed. He got in trouble because he couldn't meet the contract. He had the wrong license. He wasn't supposed to be contracting that type of job without the right license. He didn't have a Class A license. He was working under a different license. He didn't have insurance to maintain that type of job. The town allowed him to continue. When it was all said and done and brought to court, now remember what name I said, Jason Hatch. Well, let's see, we got a judge up there named Ralph Hatch. Oh, wow, that's right. So anyway, Judge Higgins gets the case because it's conflict with Ralph Hatch. Judge Higgins gives summary judgment to Jason Hatch for $262,000. Gee, I wonder if that was all a fraudulent scheme according to all the documents I've read and all the paperwork that indicated that Judge Higgins involved in other fraudulent schemes. Wow, these are all felonies if I'm not mistaken by the law. So how do we justify this? I can read you documents right now from Gary's case where Jason Hatch personally told the town council members not to turn over any records to Gary Solomon whatsoever, or they could be facing another lawsuit. That's fraud. You can't stop a man from getting public record to defend himself. Went into court. Judge Higgins never gave reason why. Statute of limitations was run out on this whole case anyway, and the court allowed him to sue Gary and go past statute of limitations to even give him a summary judgment. Now it's in court, in the Court of Appeals down in Phoenix. And if Gary loses there, he's going to keep going all the way to the Supreme Court because they committed fraud. Judge Higgins committed fraud. We could show it. Because if he viewed the case, which he said he did in its entirety, it shows that he knew there was a fraud being committed and didn't stop it. That makes him part of the fraud because he read it and he allowed it. And let's go on and on. I mean, it's case after case. He denied me to testify at my own hearing. He wouldn't let me testify. I have very serious medical issues. I can't be in a higher altitude. All my doctors, James Del Giorno, Dominic, my cancer doctor, all of them said I cannot be in that higher altitude. It'll kill me. So I've appeared by telephone as requested every single hearing. He would not let me testify. Period. End of discussion. He wouldn't let my witnesses testify. One of them was Brad Farber and said, hey, I don't trust this court. Told him in open court, I do not trust you guys or this court. I'll testify down in Phoenix, but I am not testifying in this court. Can't blame him. He's my witness. He's afraid of him for his family's safety because of who they are. Navajo Mafia. You know, but he's not the only one. There's so many other cases where people don't want to step up because they're afraid of them. Repercussions. Where I've had several witnesses call me on the phone and tell me about their cases where the police actually came on their property, threatened them, and left. When they called 911 to report the police officer was there and made a threat, there was no police officer at your house. We don't have no officers at your place. That never happened. You're a liar, lady. He just left here. You know what I'm saying? And they knew they left. They knew they were there. There's so much to cover and not quite enough time to do it about Navajo County. It goes on and on and on about destruction of records. We know for a fact they destroyed a bunch of records here in the last couple of months. Totally cleaned house because they're worried about being investigated, which they are now, and they can know about it. Let them hide everything they can. We got enough proof on them to show that they did do stuff and committed fraud and crimes of their own, so they need to be punished. So they can get rid of whatever they want. We got enough to show what they did. Allegations against my attorneys. My attorneys started fighting them, and my attorney got threatened in court by Judge Higgins. And my attorney stood right up and said, Your Honor, I've never said no such thing. Show it to me. My attorney told him right in court, show me where I said it. I want to see it. And he could never produce it. But he made that argument. I'll get you disbarred. I'll file a complaint to the bar. And that never happened either because he knows that he committed the crime, not my attorney. So my attorney is going to continue his fight, and all of them, because they know what they're doing. But it's worse. They change case numbers. They change dates. They change what you say in a hearing. You have a hard time. The biggest thing is you have a hard time getting discovery. Anything to do with discovery to prove that your innocence, you have a hard time. They hide audios. They hide videos. They hide any documents that can help you. They get rid of it. And that's what's been keeping them afloat all these years, is because they do that and they know how to structure it. Now, going back to one of my attorneys, which is Sherry Bell, Florence and Bell out of Phoenix, very high-profile attorneys. The first words out of Sherry Bell's mouth was, to the attorney that was working on my case at the time, watch Navajo County's paperwork. Look at the case numbers and dates. Pay very close attention to everything they give you. Now, why would she say that? Because she knows they fraudulently mess with paperwork. I go to my first hearing. I've never received an indictment. To this day, I never got an indictment. I want them to show mail certified copy where they sent me the indictment. They didn't. I never got an indictment. My co-defendant did. He told me my name was on it. You understand? And then I appeared at court. But I personally never received the indictment. To this day, I still never received the indictment they sent him. And my attorneys never did either. We only went off of what he had made copies. Which is another fact that we were going to bring up. So Holiday, before she split and left the country, she kindly fraudulently changed dates. So anytime that you start your court transactions, they have 180 days to get you to trial. Their time ran up in my case. So Holiday deliberately backdated a notice and put it in the file because it wasn't there before. We also know that. We're going to show that in federal court at some point, or to the Supreme Court. They're going to be notified. These bastards are going to jail, man, for what they've done. But they're going to get their dues. It's coming. We've got too much to show that they did it.
Have you ever seen a document that they had all filled out and then another one they produced that they've duplicated and,
yes,
fabricated information?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's
what do you have there? Tell me.
Okay. So, I'll give you an example. During one of my hearings where they call it a status conference, and it's okay. Let me kind of explain it because it's hard to know unless you actually can understand it. You go to your hearing, which they call a status conference. They do the minute readings, or they do the readings. We're here on this case, blah blah blah, and they run through all the network on it. You're all done, so you get a copy of that. Correct? You request a copy to get from them. You don't receive the copy. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And you keep requesting it over and over, but it never comes. They'll even go a year. When you finally get it, you've got it, right? Okay? So you put it away, you read it, and you got a copy of it now, and you go, man, it took forever to get that, because you're not really paying. You're thinking, wow, it took a long time, but man, these fools, man, I could have had this a long time ago. I need a copy of this, You ask your attorney, did you get a copy? No, I still haven't got one. We finally got a copy here. I'll give you a copy. So now you have the copy. you put the copy up. So you continue down the road, and you're collecting copies of everything, right? Now, you pull up the copy, and you knew it happened a year. It was a year to that date. You go to the court file when your new attorney steps in and says, that's garbage. We want everything out of that file. He gets copies of everything out of the file. Wow. There's a copy in there that's dated different than the one you received. And it's dated to date from the day after the hearing. And gee, you're reading it and it doesn't even match. It's somebody else's minutes. Even though your name's on it, it belongs to somebody else because you know when you went to court. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you see, that's what they do. I'll give you another good example. So in a trial for a guy named Eric Seals, and I found this out through my attorney, they took a guy to trial, his name's Eric Seals, on a drug case. During his trial, before his trial, he said, I want to fire Ron Woods and I want to change a judge. And he can do that. You're allowed to do that for cause. Well, he filed the motions and the judge denied him. They went, push the trial forward. Yeah, let's go. Anyway, they get the trial done, and I just find this very, very strange on how these people work. So here's this guy, and he's going, wait a minute, I'm not guilty. But during the trial, they present to the jury a picture of drugs on a scale that doesn't even belong to him. It's just a picture, now get a load of this, that they've used in trials over and over, drug-related cases. It doesn't even have nothing to do with his case, but it shows drugs on a scale, so it sticks in the jurors' minds that, yeah. But they wouldn't play the audio on track 4, which describes what happened to Eric Seals in his trial. They only played track 5. The informant was selling to another individual, which wasn't Eric Seals, but they used track 4 or they used track 5 and then played track 5 so the jury would hear his voice and think it's him, but in reality it was track 4, but they wouldn't go back to it. Ron Woods didn't even defend him. Ron Woods didn't say nothing about track 4, playing track 4, so the jury could hear that. So, but it's worse than that. So the mother says to the attorney, one of the attorneys that was telling me all about this case, that she's seen the prosecutor and the detective coming out of the jury when they went to deliberate out of their room where they were deliberating. So
they're jury tampering too.
Jury tampering. Oh yeah, absolutely at its finest.
And that's the minimum. They're also placing jurors.
They're placing jurors and they're tampering with people. Absolutely. That's why, as our conversation continues here, that's why I'm asking the federal government to please pull these jurors up and really put the squeeze on them. Take them downtown Phoenix. You know what I mean? For questioning, because they can do that. I begged him. I said, take them down here, man, and squeeze them. You're going to scare them women because they don't want to go to jail. And they're going to tell you which prosecutor talked to them. They're going to tell you. Somebody's going to talk. And he said they're going to do that. So that was one of the text messages that he sent me. They are going to do that. They're going to put a squeeze on people. They particularly want to take down corruption. I'm not going to say names, but they want to take down corruption, especially when it comes to people that are employed by the government. They don't want that bad name, and you can't blame them. They're trying to protect our Constitution. They're not the state government. People got to understand that there's a difference. State government, federal government. Federal government's actually stepping in and doing their job right now. And I applaud them at that because I really trust these guys. I don't trust many people in my life, but I trust this particular federal agent. He came across totally the way one should. You know what I mean? He cared. He doesn't. He's not going to protect them. If they're liars, they're going to jail. And we've already proven several points. And he's already made his own decision about what's going to happen from this point on. It's a matter of gathering ammunition to continue. And the more we gather, the more case he can build, the better case he can build. And then that indictment comes down and everybody gets put in handcuffs and we get a watch. Which is what everybody wants, justice. And that's what they need.
So what needs to happen in Navajo County to get justice?
Honestly, it needs to start right at the court system. I believe, in my own opinion, they need to pull out every clerk, interview them. Everybody needs to take a polygraph. Every one of them. Now, let's see. They say it's not admissible in a court of law, correct? Right? But they use a polygraph to hire a police officer. They use a polygraph to hire a judge. They use a polygraph on everything. So, they all need to be polygraphed again at this point, right now. And questions about money, stealing tax dollars, RICO money, are they fabricating paperwork? Are they changing case numbers? Just go and make a whole list of things to ask these people. Start at the clerk of the court, start doing polygraphs. Do an audit on the county, very major. Do an audit on the county. And go work their way through.
And the employees.
Look at their money, their intake. Find any hidden bank accounts they have. Out of the country, whatever. See what stocks they're involved in. See, Private Prisons of America. Oh yeah, that's another issue. Gee, I forgot about that. That's pretty important. Check Private Prisons of America for Judge Higgins and Ralph Hatch. Gee, I wonder what you'll find. And the prosecutor's office. Wonder what their investments are.
That's one thing we have to remember too, is that this county could have actually been a good county.
Absolutely.
Until the private prison money came in and bought everybody.
That's what happened too. It poisoned everybody. And they seen a loophole and they seen money. And they got greedy.
How long has it been a private prison system there? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
No,
okay, I'll find out.
You can find out. Look, there's a lot of places to look, but I can tell you that majority of what's going on in Navajo County and the corruption is it's gotten so bad that you have to start with an audit. You got to pull the clerks out. Start interviewing and doing polygraphs. Pull the judges out. And everybody needs to be replaced. I don't care who they are. They all need to be replaced in the particular governmental complex. That's crucial. Then, and all the prosecutors, all the public defenders, the government literally needs to come in and say, you know what? The allegations were made. We're going to continue our investigation, but you're all suspended. We're bringing in new people until we find out what's going on. That's what needs to happen. And they can't tell me it can't happen because it has happened in Ohio. And they did it in Ohio, so they can do it here, which I'm hoping that's what happens. After the Department of Justice, after talking to them, and just overhearing a couple of conversations, their whole goal is to probably come in, audit, remove people, and take people to jail. But they don't want to take just one. They want to get everybody involved. Like they said, whether it's 50 people or 20, they want to do that indictment all at one time and get them out, get them into court system, and get them going through their own ordeal, go on to prison, whatever happens to them. Get it done. Then they have to go back and review everybody's case those judges has looked at. They have to review every one of those. Which, at that point, I think whoever they appoint for the prosecutor really needs to take a good look and take his time and at least determine how many people they screwed, and in all those cases it's his call. He's the prosecutor, so. But I hope he uses good discretion and doesn't just try to burn them to make those judges not look so bad. You know what I'm saying? Because that's generally what will happen is they try to cover their butts so they don't all look so bad. I hope it's an honest prosecutor who says, no, hell no. He did this wrong. He did this wrong. He lied in this case. They tampered with jurors. That's what needs to happen and clean it up. So that county, because there's a lot of decent people there in that county. And they don't deserve it, man. They really don't. They hard-working people. People have been up there all their lives and make a few dollars and just trying to survive. Lost their cars, their properties, families destroyed, split up, kids dying, family members dying. It's a continuous thing, cops going in and shooting them to death and call it a justified shooting. Of course, that happens everywhere. But there's a lot of cases up there that it's not justified. And it won't. Majority of the population up there right now, I can tell you for a fact, from all the calls we've gotten and everything we received in mail, majority of them, which is large majority, does not want Hatch, Higgins, or Nelson, or anybody in the prosecutor's office there anymore. They're tired of it. They're done with it.